So yun, hi, hello, I'm Dennis Roland Iglesias from SBA 2C. I'm one of the reporters of Group 7 and ang napunta sa akin ay yung tinatawag na International Committee. So I know medyo familiar na tayo sa terminolohiyang ito na International Committee dahil napahapyawan na to sa nakaraang talakayan natin sa taxation. So this is under the limitations of taxation power. So ayun, kung marirecall natin at matatandaan natin kung ano yung limitations of, under ng limitations of taxation power, meron tong two main categories which are inherent limitations at saka constitutional limitations. So itong sinasabi kong International Committee ay under lamang ng isa sa mga main categories ng limitation of taxation. At itong tinatawag nating International Committee ay under siya ng inherent limitation. So later on, mas malalaman pa natin kung bakit under siya ng inherent limitation at hindi siya under ng constitutional limitation. So bago ang lahat, papayawan ko muna kung ano ibig sabihin ng inherent limitation. So pag sinabi nating inherent, ito yung tinutukoy na meron siyang main attributes or meron siyang katangian na essential talaga na lumalabas na o taglay na nung isang bagay. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na inherent. Yun yung meaning niya. So, sa taxation, ginagamit tong inherent limitation dahil ina-apply ito sa mga bagay na nag-exist na sa iba. So, ibig sabihin, kino-consider under the limitations of taxation power yung mga bagay na nag-exist na hindi na siya pwedeng applyan or hanggang dun lamang yung range ng limitations ng taxation power. So, kung matatandaan natin itong inherent under ng inherent limitations, merong mga iba't ibang mga examples nito or subcategories under this main category which is inherent limitation. So, re-recall ko lang, yun yung mga territoriality of taxation, International Committee, na later on malalaman natin ng mas malalim pa kung ano ibig sabihin nito, at merong public purpose, merong exemption of the government, and non-delegation of the taxing power. So, yun, let's us proceed sa talakayan nating International Committee. So, bago lahat, let us segregate muna kung ano yung talagang meaning nitong international at saka committee. So, alam ko naman na pag sinabi natin international ay marami na tayong idea doon. Kumbaga, common na para sa atin na ma-encounter itong international. So, pag sinabing international, pang ibang bansa siya or pang ibang estado. At pag sinabi naman natin committee, this is not the committee with double M at saka double E. Kasi pag sinabi ng committee na ganun, ay nakapatungkol to sa tao. So, itong committee na to ay, ang ibig sabihin nito ay there is a mutual agreement na kaya siya nabuo dahil merong benefits. So, alam ko na doon pa lamang sa meaning na yon ay may idea na tayo kung anong pinaka-ibig sabihin nitong International Committee. So, proceed na tayo sa meaning nito. Sabi, ang International Committee pertains to mutual courtesy or reciprocity between states. So, dun pa lamang sa first line nitong meaning ng International Committee ay sinasabi yung there is a mutual courtesy. So, kung bakit nangyayari itong International Committee ay merong tinatawag na mutual courtesy. Ano nga ba yon? Pag sinabi natin mutual courtesy, yun yung agreement na ginagalang ng isa o dalawang estado na nagkaroon ng agreement. So, pag sinabi naman natin reciprocity, there is an exchange between two different states na nandoon sa agreement nila kung ano yung pagpapalitan nila. So, ayun, sabi doon between states. So, then, yung pangalawang statement dito ay it is a basic principle of international law. So, ibig sabihin itong International Committee ay nangyayari dahil merong tinatawag na international law. Meaning, nag-a-appear yung batas na yon internationally. So, sa iba't ibang state na nagkakaroon ng mutual courtesy at saka reciprocity ay international law na yung kumokontrol nun. Okay? sabi dito, international law that all states are equally sovereign. So pag sinabing equally sovereign, equal sila sa power na meron sila. Bawat estado, base sa kanilang agreement or kung ano man pinagkasunduan nila, dapat equal sila doon. Dapat they are equally sovereign. Kasi pasok sila sa international committee. Again, pag sinabing committee, there is a mutual agreement between two or more states na kaya yun nabuo dahil may benepisyo silang nakukuha. So, sa pangatlong statement, each state observes co-equal sovereignty by not taxing the properties, income, or effects of fellow states. So, gusto kong puntuhin dito yung word na co-equal. So, bakit co-equal yung ginamit at bakit hindi siya equal? So, pag sinabi kasi natin co-equal, napaka-specific niya. This term is using for a specific thing. So, ibig sabihin, there is an equal with one another. Iba siya sa meaning ng equal. Kasi pag sinabing equal, there is an equality to one another. So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung equal ay to and yung co-equal ay with. So, ibig sabihin, pag ginamit natin yung co-equal, there is equality between two subject or between two things or etc. So, kaya co-equal yung ginamit dito ay dahil yung tinatawag nating international committee ay nangyayari lamang siya between two states or two or three states na nagkakaroon ng kasunduan, nagkakaroon ng mutual courtesy at saka reciprocity. So, yung agreement na yon ay nakadepende na sa kanila kung ano yung mapagkakasunduan nila under the international law. So, sabi rito, each state observes co-equal sovereignty by not taxing the properties, income, or effects of fellow states. So, dito, lumalabas na yung tinatawag nating limitations ng taxation power. Kasi sabi dito, not taxing the properties, income, or effects of fellow states. So, later on, malalaman pa natin ng mas malalim pa kung bakit under the international law or under their international committee or mutual courtesy at saka reciprocity, walang taxing na nagaganap between sa bagay na meron yung dalawang state na pinagkasunduan nila, sa income ng dalawang state na nagkasundo, at saka sa mga effects pa nito. Okay, sabi dito pa sa sumunod na statement, consistent with this, embassies or consular offices of foreign governments in the Philippines, including international organizations and their non-Filipino staff, are not subject to the Philippine taxation. So, dun pa lamang malinaw na nakasaad na yung tinatawag nating embassies na hawak ng foreign government at yung consular, pag sinabi natin consular, it is something to do with consul. Okay, pag sinabi naman natin consul, yun yung representative na galing sa ibang bansa or galing sa state, either America, example ng America, or and so on and so forth. So, sabi dito, consular offices. So, nagpapadala yung ibang bansa ng consul na tinatawag just to observe yung protection ng mga foreigners na hawak nila na dumadayo sa bansang pinupuntahan nila. So, nagpapadala yung kung mapapansin nyo, diba, sa SONA pa lamang. Ayun, best example na yung SONA. So, pag nanonood tayo ng SONA, mapapansin natin, hindi pure Filipinos yung mga nandun. May mga iba't ibang lahi, may mga iba't ibang, tawag nito, citizenship tayo makikita doon. May mga Amerikano, may mga Hapon, may mga Incheck, diba? So, bakit pumupunta yung mga ganong tao, yun yung tinatawag na yun yung tinatawag ng mga consul officers. Sila yung mga pinapadala, kung bakit nandoon sila, pinapadala sila ng mga foreign countries para i-observe nila kung ano yung nangyayari na pag-control doon sa mga foreigners na hawak ng Pilipinas. So, under yun ng international committee pa rin. So, binibigyan ko lang kayo ng mas malawak pang ideas under this international committee. So, sabi dito, Foreign governments in the Philippines, including international organizations and their non-Filipino staff, are not subject to the Philippine taxation. So bakit? Sabi dito sa sumunod na statement, under the National Internal Revenue Code or NIRC, the income of foreign government, ayun na, and foreign government owned and controlled corporations are not subject to income tax. Ayun na, ando na yung tinutukoy ko kaninang limitations ng taxation power under this international committee. So bakit nga ba meron silang exception sa taxing ng Philippine taxation? Kasi ayun na nandun na foreign government sila Ang may hawak sa kanila ay yung foreign government. Kasama na ron yung tinatawag na foreign government owned, nariyan yung properties, nariyan na yung income, and kasama na rin doon yung control corporations, which is the effects of fellow states, are not subject in income tax. So, hindi sila required sa Pilipinas na magbayad ng ganitong tax or bukod sila doon dahil sa bansa nila, iba yung proseso ng taxation or iba yung tax rate na binabayaran nila kung saan mang bansa sila belong. So, sa sumunod na statement, when a state enters into treaties with the other states, it is bound to honor the agreements as a matter of mutual courtesy. And in case its treaty agreements with other states conflict with its local tax law, its treaty agreements are given primacy. So, punta muna tayo doon. Dito sa statement na to, sinasabi na nangyayari yung International Committee kung ano yung proseso under this international committee, yung sinasabi nga na yung mutual agreement kanina na binungad ko, So, dapat daw, kapag ang dalawang states ay nag-enter into treaties, okay, nagkaroon sila na agreement, okay, meron dapat silang tinatawag na mutual courtesy. Or, kapag hindi naman sila nagkasundo doon sa tinatawag na treaties, wala silang mutual courtesy doon, okay, dapat meron silang tinatawag na primacy or yung tinatawag na dapat binibigyan nilang importansya kung ano man yung agreement na hindi nila pinagkasundoan. So, dapat may primacy doon. So, yun lang naman yung under this international committee. I hope na nagkaroon pa kayo na mas malalim na idea patungkol dito. Maraming salamat. Ako pumuli si Dennis Roland Iglesias.
Next is situs of taxation. Situs is the place of taxation. It is the jurisdiction that has the power to levy the taxes upon the tax object. And situs rules serve as a frames of reference in gauging whether the tax object is within or outside the tax jurisdiction of the taxing authority. So in a simple term, situs of taxation is the place of taxation. Ito yung place of taxation. Diba? So, ang pwede lang i-tax ng isang bansa or estado ay ang kanyang nasasakupan lamang. Diba? Sabi nga dyan, it is the tax jurisdiction that has the power to levy the taxes upon the tax object. Diba? Ang kanyang nasasakupan lamang at para ma-tax ang isang bagay o ang isang subject ay kinakailangan magkaroon ito ng situs. Diba? So, para mas maunawaan, so next natin yung factors in the determination of situs of taxation. Una, ano ba yung una dyan? Subject matter. Diba? Subject matter, ano ba yung tinatax? Tao ba yan? Property ba yan? Activity ba yan? So, yun yung sinasabing subject matter. Next naman is nature of tax. Ano bang klaseng tax yung ini-impose dito? Diba? Income tax ba yan? Property ba? Ganun. So, next naman is citizenship of taxpayer. And last is residence of taxpayer. Differentiate lang din natin at the same time kasi para baka maguluhan kayo sa citizenship and residence. So, ang citizenship naman, when we say citizenship, anong nationality mo? Diba? Pumunta ka man sa ibang bansa, sa lupalop man ng mundo yan. Diba? Kung ano ang nationality mo, yun yung citizenship mo. I mean, kung ano yung nationality mo, ano yung citizenship mo, Pilipino ka pa din. Diba? Saan ka man pumunta, Pilipino ka pa din. Diba? Pilipino ka pa din sa ano. So, yun yung citizenship. Saan ka man pumunta, sa lupalop man ng bansa yan, sa lupalop ng mundo, Pilipino ka pa din. So, yun yung citizenship. Diba? But when we say residence of taxpayer, residence, saan ka ba namamalagi? Saan ka nakatira? Halimbawa ako, isa akong Pilipino na namamalagi sa Pilipinas. Siyempre, yung residency ko sa Pilipinas. Kasi dito ako nakatira. Diba? So, yun yung ano. So, itong apat na yan, kinoconsider to sa pag di-determine ng situs. Diba? So, ano nga ba yung significance nito? Diba? Kasi maaaring i-tax ng isang government ang isang tao, property, or activity kung meron siyang situs doon. So, para mas maliwanagan kayo, next natin yung application ng situs of taxation na. Yan, may 5 example dito. At yun yung mga business tax situs, income tax situs, on service or on sale goods, property tax situs, personal tax situs. Hapyawan ko lang to kasi baka ma-explain ko yung iba sa ibang part ng reporter. Tapos maintindihan nyo, general example lang to. For example, sadula. Diba? Saan ako pwedeng magbayad ng sadula? Diba? Natural, kung saan ako nakatira. So, ang pagbabasihan doon is residence of the taxpayer. Saan ka ba nakatira? Saan ba ako nakatira? Diba? Siyempre, hindi ako pwede magbayad ng sedula sa Tondo kung taga Laguna naman ako. Diba? So, again, ang pagbabasihan doon is kung saan ka nakatira. Anong residence mo. So, ganun. Okay, proceed na tayo sa business tax situs naman. Sa business tax of situs, sabi dyan, businesses are subject to tax in the place where the business is subjective. I mean, the business is conducted. Sabi kasi dyan di ba? Maano nyo dyan. So, lugar kung saan yung business is na-conduct or saan ino-operate yung business mismo. So, saan yung situs nun? Diba? Kasi, hindi sinasitus yung income, but rather yung negosyo. So, kung saan yung negosyo, o saan nag-ooperate, saan kinandak, doon itatax. Okay, gets na? So, we'll give you an example sa business tax situs. For example, a taxpayer is involved in a car dealership abroad and restaurant operation in the Philippines. So, the restaurant business will be subjective to business tax in the Philippines since the business is conducted herein. Diba? Pero, yung car dealership in business is exempted. Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, yung tax dealership is abroad. So, hindi siya kasali. Di ba sabi ko nga kanina, is a jurisdiction lang. Diba? So, hindi siya kasali. Exemption yung car dealership abroad. Pero yung restaurant operation na dito kinandak, dito ino-operate sa Pilipinas, is kasama sa isa situs. Gets nyo? Okay. Next is income tax situs on service na.
Income tax situs on sales good. The income tax cited on sales good depends on the various factors such as the location of the sales. It refers to the jurisdiction where the sales occurs or where the economic activity generating the income takes place. Next is the type of product or services. It refers to who is your target customers and what is the most need product within that area. And last, the tax laws of the jurisdiction involved. It determines where the certain types of income, property, or transactions are subject to taxation. This law can include rules of income sourcing, residency, and other factors.
Okay, so property tax situs or real property tax kung tinatawag. Sabihin, properties that are taxable in their location. So, ano siya, taxable niya naman siya masyadong malaki. So, yung percentage lang ng tax nito is if, dito sa Pilipinas tinatawag siyang amilyar. Ganun. So, yung percentage lang na ng tax nito is if located siya in province or sa mga probinsya is 1%. Pero, if located siya in Manila, Metro Manila is 2% na. So, ganun. So, itong property tax or tinatawag nating amilyar is siya, imposed by the government. So, example nito is, diba, sabi, properties that are taxable in their location. So, kahit dito sa Pilipinas, kahit di ka naman nakatira sa isang bahay, basta bahay mo yan, is kailangan mo magbayad ng amilyar. Ganun siya. Kahit na hindi mo siya tinitirahan, so kailangan mo magbayad ng amilyar. Kunwari, 3 bahay nyo. So, yung 3 yan, kailangan mo yung bayaran. Ganun. So, that's all. Next reporter.
Personal tax situs. So first things first, let us first define what is personal tax situs. Personal tax situs, persons are taxable in their place of residence. So, bago tayo dumako sa pinaka-meaning is, himahimayin muna natin. Personal means or synonym siya ng individual. You as a person. And tax, binabayaran natin on legal terms. And situs means the location of property or an item or for legal purposes. So in tax, situs is the location of property on a legal purposes. Okay, personal tax situs means that this is the personal location or pag-aari mo mismo as a human being, as an individual na nakalagay sa legal terms, legal papers, or on legal purposes that you should be paying tax. Halimbawa, ikaw nagtayo ka ng isang sabihin natin isang business sa isang lugar, and yung lugar na yon kailangan mo iparehistro maging yung business mo. And while your business is running, you need to pay taxes because you are the one who manage that business and you are the one who owns it.
And that's all. Thank you everyone.